And when Angel Reese comes out and says she ain't the only one everybody's watching, they're watching me too, they're watching others, a day later she gets ejected.
I think Angel Reese is jealous of Caitlin Clark. She thinks she's, the reason why this is all happening here. Caitlin Clark was going to get eyeballs whether she played against Angel Reese in LSU or not.
After being grilled by the pros, Angel Reese loses control. And to be really honest, it's making me feel really good. It feels like a soap opera that no one invited to watch every time Reese opens her mouth. It seems as though Reese believes that her loudness off the court would make people overlook the fact that she is not as good as Clark at the game. One thing will stick in her memory: the athlete unable to accept the brilliance of another.
Call it racism. Here's what I see. I see a white girl out of Iowa, straight too, by the way, coming to this league, and this league, which has been around a long time, has never had this much popularity. Black girl gets that same attention. Okay, she's a rookie. She hasn't done it yet. I'm a little aggravated. But the white girl, that is part of the reason why they're so angry. Stephen A. Smith, Matt Barnes, Pat McAfee, all you guys, it's racism. It's that simple. I got the balls to say it. You don't.
She's not trending for her game. Let's be real. It's all about her. Emotional drama and massive jealousy towards Caitlin Clark. It's almost like Reese can't stand the fact that Clark's out here is shining on every headline. So she's pulling every stunt just to stay relevant. The envy is screaming, and the constant need for attention is honestly just exhausting. Like, girl, why so pressed? Take that whole incident with Kennedy Carter and Caitlin Clark. Carter hits Clark with a foul that gets national attention. And instead, being a teammate, Reese is sitting there on the bench applauding like she's at some kind of twisted award show. Talk about desperation for attention. Even Dan Patrick said, "Dan, that's harsh, but someone had to say it." Angel Reese wants to be Dorian Green. She's more Dylan Brooks. Like, she's trying to be an instigator. She goes out of her way to criticize Caitlin Clark. And don't even get me started on the jealousy. You've got calling it out straight, saying, so Caitlin Clark is the driving force. And it does seem like there's some resentment, some jealousy, which is sports. It's painfully obvious. Reese is out here trying to claim that people aren't watching the WNBA just for one player, meaning Clark, obviously. But every time she opens her mouth, it sounds like pure desperation. Yeah, the reason why we're watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too. And I want y'all to realize that, like, it's not just because of one person. A lot of us have done so much for this game. Well, Angel, maybe it's because Clark's out here breaking records and drawing in the crowds while you're busy, I don't know, clapping on the sidelines. It's not that Reese isn't talented, but the shadow Clark is casting over the WNBA's lawn. And that's clearly eating her alive. It's like every word out of Reese's mouth lately has a hint of jealousy. Like, she can't stand the fact that no matter what she does, Clark is the one everyone admires. So let's talk about the experts for a moment, because when they speak, it's not just opinions, it's facts. And they're laying it all out there without sugarcoating a thing. Stephen A. Smith, the guy who's never afraid to say exactly what's on his mind, went all in on this so-called rivalry. He straight up said, Angel Reese is a terrific player who's going to be a star in the WNBA. I believe in her. She's not Angel Reese. She's not Caitlin Clark. Not as of yet. She's just not. Smith's making it. It's clear that Reese's envy is written all over her face, especially during that whole hand-waving fiasco during the championship. She tried to mock Clark, but all it did was show just how threatened she feels by Clark's stardom. And Angel Reese knows a ring is coming. Like, really? It's not enough that you won. You also need the spotlight. That kind of attitude is exactly why Reese is in the position she's in now, constantly chasing the limelight but never quite catching it. But you've known they were coming for you when you were waving your hands and your face to mock Caitlin Clark when you were beating her for the national championship. Yeah, it's like Reese thought she could pull a fast one and come out on top, but it just made her look petty. And that was a moment where you could just see how badly she wanted to be the one everyone was talking about. But guess what? They're still talking about Clark. Then Dan Patrick, with the most brutal observation of all, said, talk about hitting the nail on the head. Without Clark, Reese just fades into the background. It's like Reese only exists in the spotlight because she's latched onto Clark's success. That's got to sting, right? I mean, Reese is constantly trying to force her way into the conversation, but all she's doing is proving that she's not even close to Clark's level of fame. But here's the thing. No matter what Reese does, it's not enough. Caitlin Clark is the one everyone's tuning in to see. The WNBA is benefiting from Clark's popularity, and Reese just can't seem to handle it. As much as she tries to make it about herself, the numbers don't lie. Clark's the one driving the league forward, not Reese. Angle is also putting up solid numbers, no denying that. She's a consistent double-double machine, and her rebounding game is something to be respected. But every time she steps on the court, all anyone can think about is how she's standing in Caitlin Clark's shadow. And trust me, that's not just me saying it. Every stat, every record, every headline screams it loud and clear. Now, don't get me wrong, Reese's rookie season wasn't bad at all. She had solid numbers, sure. But while she's out here grabbing rebounds like it's her job, which, okay, it is, Clark's out there setting records that make Reese's stats look like background noise. Remember when Brew dropped the line? Yeah, that's the reality. Reese is good, but Clark's why people are actually watching. And that's got to hurt. Now, let's get real about what's truly extraordinary about Clark. Everyone's saying it, and the stats back it up. People are watching the WNBA because of her. She's single-handedly boosted viewership by 105%, which is mind-blowing. It's crystal clear that she's the reason people are tuning in, yet somehow Reese is still living in this delusion that the attention is all about her. And then there was that whole side hit thing. Reese, always the drama queen, couldn't just let the game speak for itself. No, she had to make it a moment. Kennedy Carter fouls Clark, and what does Reese do? Clap like it's a comedy show. I mean, was that really necessary? Even Dan Patrick calling her out for leaning into this whole bad guy persona. Angel Reese always comes off as the victim, and she's leaning into being, the bad guy. Here she is post-game. Reese is completely wrapped up in her own little bubble of jealousy and frustration. She's way more bothered by the hype around Clark than anything else. But hey, Angel, let me throw you a bone for a second. We do notice you too, but only when we notice Angel Reese win when she plays against Caitlin Clark. No other time. I mean, you might accidentally go, oh, so that's the woman. That one. Hurts, but it's true. Reese only seems to matter when Clark's involved. It's harsh, but hey, someone's got to say it. Let's be real. Reese is envious. It's as clear as day. Reese sees how fast Clark is rising, how the WNBA is practically bowing down to Clark's, and it's driving her nuts. Reese wants to be the face of the league. She can't stand watching someone else steal her spotlight, so she's trying every trick in the book to stay relevant. Angel Reese is living proof that talent on the court doesn't always translate to handling success with grace. Sure, she's a solid player, but her emotional outbursts and constant need for validation. Yeah, that's getting her nowhere. Clark's not just playing basketball, she's drawing comparisons to Michael Jordan and LeBron James. I think about that. She's in her rookie season, and people are already talking about her in the same breath as legends. Meanwhile, Reese is over here, stuck in the emotional quicksand of jealousy. It's like she's tied her entire career to Clark's shadow, and now she's stuck trying to claw her way out. And the worst part, the more she tries, the deeper she sinks. Clark doesn't need Reese to stay relevant. Reese, though, she desperately needs Clark to even stay in the conversation. But here's the thing. Clark doesn't care. She's too busy winning, breaking records, and becoming the future of the WNBA. At the end of the day, Angel Reese's emotional drama and jealousy are getting her nowhere. Clark is out there building a legacy while Reese is building what? A reputation for being envious? It's sad, really. Reese has a talent to be great, but instead of focusing on her own potential, she's obsessed with Clark's success. And as long as that's the case, she's going to stay stuck in Clark's shadow, no matter how many rebounds she grabs or headlines she makes.